All right. The next show we're gonna be talking about is Kekai Sensen and Beyond, or Blood Blockade Battlefront and Beyond.
Yes. I know this one's probably all me on this one, isn't
Yep.
it? Yeah, I figured. So, I mean, this in the first season, there was a major happening. There was a major focus. You know, basically, their whole world was about to come to an end. They stopped it, obviously. But now, this second season, it seems like we're kind of dealing with the fallout of what happened between on the first season, and then also I don't know. It's like there's no so far. I'm 4 episodes into it. So far, there is no definitive direction that it's going in. It's not like, oh, this is going to be the some major battle coming up. This is the main villain. No, it seems like this is like you know the characters, and they're like at this point they're like, okay, now you're just gonna see them going on missions, which I'm totally fine with. Like, I literally love the scene of like you're seeing more backstory between each character. You're learning more about the world and the variouses. Like, there's so much potential for just absolute craziness that you're entertained. You don't know what to expect because there's always just something else going on, but you're entertained and you don't care as long as you're going along with the ride. It's just it's insanity, but at the same time, it's controlled chaos, I'd say.
Okay.
Like for instance, one of the episodes so far that they've had was right when the apocalypse of how the city itself transformed into what it did happened. There was a hospital because the two of the guys that were at the start of this whole thing came across a kid. I think it was an infant almost. It was a young kid basically, and they took him to the hospital because they didn't know where else to take him, and they wanted to make sure he was okay. And in the process of taking him to the hospital, there was a demon and his demon dog that came to the hospital. And they went out and met the demon on his own, but the demon dog escaped or went to the hospital. So just when they were trying to get to the hospital so that we could protect the people that were inside there, everything, like, all of a sudden the hospital and everything around them disappeared. And they were in the middle of town. It's like they got transported. Then later on in this episode, the hospital reappears out of nowhere, just like materializes, and they're like, is this the same hospital? And then they end up finding out, like, the characters that were inside there, a lot of them ended up dying because of the demon dog that came in. But there was another, like, I guess some sort of like some being that basically came to the hospital because it was wanting some of the demons that it had that had been during like the transition between the world becoming what it was. The demon world and our world kind of like collided, kind of thing. So there was casualties on both sides. Well, this entity wanted to take care of some of the demons that had been hurt, so it came to the hospital, but already the demon dog had come through and killed most everyone in there. And what it ended up doing is it actually, I guess in a sense, resurrected and or healed the doctors that were in there and gave them abilities. So then all of a sudden the hospital came back up into full service. So now this hospital not only served humans, but now also served like otherworldly beings, kind of thing as well. So it was interesting because like then when the female doctors that they had met all of a sudden gained the ability to actually split herself off into multiple versions of herself. So then, like, because they didn't have enough staff to be able to run the hospital effectively, so now all of a sudden she kept splitting herself off into multiple different people, and that was their staff. So it was interesting. It was kind of cool. And then, like, towards the end of that episode, the demon and the dog ended up reappearing, and they had to, like, take care of, finalize the business that they couldn't take care of back when the everything went down before. But like, you learned how when the apocalypse between this city happened, when things collided, what happened and what was going on during that time frame. Because like literally the whole city was rearranging itself. Buildings were like literally lifting up off the ground and floating as the city itself rearranged itself to match up with the fact that this other world was colliding with our world, kind of thing. So yeah, it was just stories like that, and then just like other ones where you meet, one of the other characters who I don't know if they really explained it in the first season, but you end up finding out she's actually like part werewolf or something like that.
Okay.
But you never see her like transform. You always see her, but she's always like very fast, very strong. And then you end up finding out that she's actually part of a covert team that will infiltrate into areas. But like, and I've never heard this as far as an ability with werewolf, but I'm kind of glad that they did, because it's something new and interesting. So basically, they gave the werewolves the abilities to blend, but it goes like even further, where it's like not only can you not see them, they can literally negate their existence to a certain extent, to where it's not even like infrared will pick them up. Literally, nothing will pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, they're like invisible to thoughts, even almost to that point. And then it was funny too, because she was training somebody to do what she does as far as like covert jobs and stuff like that. She's also another werewolf as well. And I didn't realize it at the time, but she was talking to him about because when they start negating their existence to a certain extent, they sometimes need something to actually bring themselves back.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
They start negating their existence to a point where literally people forget that they even existed, kind of thing. So what ended up happening was, and it was absolutely hilarious too how it happened, but she did it. She had to actually negate her existence to a huge extent. So they had to have something to bring her back. Well, to bring her back, her I guess her anchor was someone had to walk into her apartment, because you see her walk into her apartment at one point and there's like literally garbage like everywhere, like the whole place is a mess, but she came in through the window. Apparently it's because she can, so she just does. She never comes through the front door. So they had somebody, one of their team, go to with a message saying, knock on the door, enter, and say you're coming in to visit. And just because of that, because their place was a mess and they didn't want people to see their place a mess, that caused them to come back. And all of a sudden you see them like trying really desperately to grab all the garbage and everything and like push it away. They're like, no, don't enter. And then like they threw a chair at him to have him leave. And everyone's like, all right, you brought her back. Good job. And he was like, what the hell? Because he'd actually forgotten that she'd even existed. So they just told him, I want you to go to this door, knock on it, and then say, hey, I'm coming in to visit. That's literally all you have to do. And that's what caused her to come back. And then he threw a chair and he's like, why did she throw a chair at me? What happened? I'm confused.
That's funny.
But it was like to the point where like she had actually, right before this happened, she had to the main office had delivered a vase for some flowers for the guy that is kind of like their butler, I guess, in this area. And because she had negated her existence, the vase itself had changed. Because it wasn't her that actually delivered the vase, so it wasn't the same vase until she came back, and then the timeline recorrected itself.
That's interesting.
See, that's just like the crazy things that happen, and these to the extent of like, and it's common occurrence to them in this world, but it's all just absolute nuts. So
yeah, that's kind of hard to wrap my head around, because it's like it's a mixture between like time travel kind of and like multiple universes like blending in.
Literally, this is just in the span of one episode.
So
it's like literally each episode has, and you think they kind of rush through it, but it feels almost like they give it just enough time to do what they need to do. You have to think about it a little bit sometimes, but it's literally just enough time to do what it is that they need to do. So this is why I like this series. I think it's underrated in its sense, because people don't think much of it. But like if they could continue on just in this fashion, because I think in the first season they had a goal. It was very goal oriented, very focused. They still had a little bit of play with certain things and where you're meeting characters and whatnot. But now that they have the characters
established already,
they're like, you know what, we're just gonna do this is their job. Their job is to keep order in this city and to take care of things that need to get taken care of, that are otherworldly, that you would not be able, like normal people would not be able to do. So these little jobs and these little things that happen, this is what happens. So yeah, now that I think they're more established in their anime and whoever, I don't know who does this one, I can't remember. Bones, yeah. It looks too, anyways. But now that they're established in this anime and they know what they're doing and they have a groundwork, I think now they're just like, you know what, let's just have nice little fun little adventures going through here and just see what happens. So
Cool.
yeah, I like it.
One day I will get back to it. Let's see. Everybody clap your hands.
I'm like, this is not the time or place for that. You have to think about that because you feel like you're in Kino's place and you're like, what would I do?
Yeah.
Would that be the same thing I would do? Would I feel okay about that? Or would I be like,